He got gas at this gas station in Jonathan Creek, went across the street to the Dollar General. He went inside, and within moments, his car with everything he owned, including his service dog, was gone. In the last 30 minutes, every time that we have been out of this street, it actually appears that this person is being loaded onto a stretcher here. We actually walked back to our car because, as you saw, we were chased away. We're 2 businesses down from where that shooting happened at the Lavish Lounge. The owner told me the man was here about 8:40 this morning, went up here to the 2nd story. They had to chop with a saw in here to get the bus out. They say they are going to be out here searching throughout the night until they find these 2 suspects. If you look at these 2 cars completely covered in mud, and if you look right down here, inches deep. Crews are working to clean those up. Across the street, you can see a downed power line. Christmas came early for 300 students here at Tabernacle Baptist Christian Academy here in Grand Bahama. Some of the big topics that they talked about were the recent protests the country has seen, the coronavirus. They found the woman at the intersection of Riverside and Craven, and we're actually here right now. We found blood right here. We don't know if it's connected. If I'm driving 70 miles an hour at the legal limit, then it's going to take me 12 feet longer to stop. And sometimes that's too late. And again, this really culminates an hour of really tense moments here. Oh, you can really get a good shot of the police right here. You can get a really good shot. At least 30 of them lined up here. You see state police, Asheville police on bikes. This whole night there have been people on this 2nd level up here. I just heard a couple more pops down here. Let's move down here. Let's see. Okay. If you look to the top right of the screen, it appears that there is some kind of smoke. Have heard about 10 pops down here.
If we never needed God before, we need him now, y'all.
Parents in Forest City say it could have been any one of their kids.
So we going to God because he's the only one who could help us.
But on late Tuesday afternoon,
I was at the bottom of the project coming up when I heard the gunshots.
It happened to be 7-year-old Aaliyah Norris. Her family says she was sitting in a car eating ice cream.
Let's pray, y'all.
2 days later, they lost the girl many knew as Cookie.
Because she was greedy and chubby and she liked Cookie.
It's easy to just focus on the balloons. But for this story, you have to look at who's holding them. Young lives, who people say their town can't afford to lose.
Hey, God, I know you're taking care of Aaliyah.
Shortly after Aaliyah died, it briefly rained.
Be the light in a dark place, God.
The family believes it was her telling them she's okay, and they too had a message for her.
Justice for Aaliyah! Justice for Aaliyah! Justice for Aaliyah! Justice for Aaliyah!
In Forest City, Caitlyn Penter, News 13.
It's a cultural normality to go out and pack your pistol and shoot at anything that moves because society tells us that's what our black men are supposed to do.
Facing generational trauma.
By showing them that that's not normal. It's not normal to go out and, want to kill each other.
Several organizations are teaming up in Buncombe County for a new community safety initiative, working together to bring intentional, positive attention to communities suffering from gun violence.
It's to feel safe at home, to feel like they don't have to hide in the tub when they hear gunshots going off.
In February, News 13 reported that shots fired calls in Asheville rose from 401 in 2010 to more than 650 in 2020. That same data from Asheville police showed the disproportional number of African American men involved in the gun violence. Data showing of the 45 people shot last year, 37 were African American men.
When you have communities that are isolated, they lack resources, lack access to education and sustainable jobs, and really lack access to hope, the end result is going to be violence.
Through the initiative, a multidisciplinary team will go to communities on a daily basis, including a trauma-informed specialist, a community health worker, and a youth mentor. For Michael Hayes, the executive director of the Umoja Health, Wellness, and Justice Collective, it's about going into his community, one that's seen him through his struggles in and out of prison, showing them where he is now.
So they asked the question, yo, Mike, what's going on? What you doing? I want to get some of that.
What My Daddy Taught Me leader Keenan Lake says it's about getting to the youth especially.
If you have the youth, you'll have the parents. And if you have the parents, then you have the community.
With the hopes as this next generation of kids grows up, they might be less inclined to turn to violence.
I know this can work. I got a black young man that I'm raising, so I know I can help him with his trauma. I can help my daddy. I can help my family. Generations curse, break it.
Community leaders say this won't stop gun violence overnight, but they hope it's the start of creating long-term change. Caitlyn Penter, News 13.
Last I seen my son, he was blowing me a kiss, and then they cut the iPad off because then they were venting him.
After 41 years of being inseparable from her son Mark, Barbara Stiles says a COVID diagnosis at Thanksgiving took him away from her. Mark has Down syndrome.
He was begging, my mama go, and so they let me stay with him till they rolled him out.
Barbara says Mark was placed on a ventilator at the beginning of December at Mission. Due to COVID protocols, she nor any of her family have been able to visit.
We're lost because he is our rock.
Barbara says after a few weeks, doctors told her it was time to take Mark off the ventilator and let him go peacefully.
We were going to do that.
Barbara says the night before they were going to do it, he became responsive.
A nurse called me and she said, Mom, Mark's having a bad night. He's got tears. And from then on, I hung on with everything in me.
Somebody wants to talk to you. Who's that?
Mark. Hey, baby. Has he got that out of his mouth?
Yep.
And he's doing okay like that?
Yeah, he's doing really good, actually.
Mark has since been taken off the ventilator and is doing better.
But I called FaceTime last night, and he spoke to me. He told me he loved me.
Barbara says he still has a long way to go. She says they still don't know how Mark got COVID since they've been so safe.
This is a horrible disease, and once he comes home, I'm nailing the doors and the windows shut. And it'll have to be dropped in by airmail.
But now, she says, thanks to her little miracle, she's no longer waiting for a goodbye, but instead, hello.
Hey, buddy.
Caitlyn Penter.
Hey, Mama's baby.
News 13.
I love you.